What happened?
Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth United. Joining me this evening is a very special guest indeed. I'm extremely excited to introduce you all to D Marble. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, D. Very pleased to have you here. And broadcasting from a remote, if I can get my tongue around it, a remote location. So where are you in the wonderful part of the States today?
Oh, I'm in Tacoma, Washington, in the lovely city of Lakewood, apartment complex. Wi-Fi spot number 5.
Yeah, you said just before we went live on this broadcast that you've got like several spots that you pick out, but the spot you had before we started this show, you literally had somebody taking photographs of your van as we were chatting. Is that a common occurrence?
It happens all the time, and actually, I knew the guy. He a few weeks ago, I was having a battery, and he actually, he came out and tested my battery to check the charge and all. I recognized cars, and he says he'll check out my YouTube later. So, continuing to plant seeds. And
For those who don't know, can you explain to the audience why would somebody be taking pictures of your van?
My van, for those who might not know, is somewhat of a mobile flat Earth billboard, and I have a message on each window. Let me see. It says here, Earth's surface is 71% water. Bodies of water are flat. Research flat Earth, and that's on the right, and on the left here. There pictures of my van. One of those pictures, I was actually watching one of your videos, and I took a picture. I don't know if you remember. I should have pointed that out on the screen.
I didn't catch
Fun
that. You
stuff.
broke up. I don't know, maybe you can, like last time, if you can lower your bandwidth one notch because you're breaking up just a little tad. And it was about me, so deeply important. I really wanted to hear that bit.
Shoot. Okay, let me turn it halfway. Limit bandwidth. Okay, I'll try that out.
You saw one of my videos. What? I didn't catch that bit.
I watched videos actually. It was. I'm not sure which one. I was getting ready to go to. And of mine, the show just kind of, just had YouTube playing. One of your videos popped up. I just, let it play out, and then I catch a guy. Phone takes a picture of the van. I just took a picture of him, and I caught half of the computer screen. There was your face on it. It was a good shot.
So, I normally open the shows with a particular question to my guests, which is, how did you find out? So, how did you find out Earth is flat?
Oh, well, I used to go fishing with my dad all the time, and I probably should have put it together. The whole idea of going out there so early and, getting out on the lake it's early in the morning. So, before we get out there, before we cast our lines into the water, we can see that the water was a mirror from one edge of the lake to the other. And I mean, I should have put it together then, but I didn't until I was two or watching Netflix with my ex-girlfriend. We were watching that series Under the Dome, and once the series, we went to YouTube to find supplemental information on that series, and typed in Under the Dome, and one of those mashup of all of Mark Sargent's flat Earth clues. So that was the first time I had heard the words flat Earth, and once he went through all that, I thought back later to the whole concept of the flat water. So it didn't take long for me to, age where I would mock flat earthers or I would laugh and ridicule. I was never the flat earth debunker. I mean, by the time I had enough conspiracies, quote, to know that we had been deceived about vast of what we've been told by the mainstream. So the idea of flat Earth wasn't a huge leap for me.
Yeah, it sounds like a familiar tale. So, in other words, you were at an unconscious level aware of flat Earth probably your entire life, but you realised that you'd been programmed into a different belief when you came across Mark Sargent's video and a whole bunch of others.
No, no, pretty much lost faith in the mainstream narrative on most everything. 9/11, Sandy Hook, uh, health system, and the Environmental Protection Agency. They've done a great job at protecting the environment.
But we've lost you again.
Once I figured out
your bandwidth just one more notch, because we keep losing you a little bit.
I'm gonna go now.
There we go. You're a little bit more fuzzy, but that's better.
Okay.
Perfect.
I certainly think I'm gonna get no bandwidth. All right. So where was I? Yeah, I didn't trust most of the government's narrative as far as the different agencies that were pushing multiple agendas and all that. I didn't trust the Environmental Protection Agency to trust the environment. I know the CIA trains terrorists. I know that the NSA is spying on everyone here. So, as far as NASA being a credible aid, 20 different government agencies, 19 of them are corrupt and deceptive, then you're going to guess that the 20th one being deceptive and is also being corrupted. So it wasn't a hard switch for me to make.
How do you go from finding out the Earth is flat to becoming a videographer and driving around with a mobile billboard?
Oh, yeah. So now, because that's, I want everybody to know this. It makes so much sense, and I can't stand having my intelligence insulted. So the whole idea that we're living on this spinning ball when we can't detect any motion, that water sticks to the spinning ball. Everything we know shows that water finds its level. So I'm like, come on, man. Everybody's got to figure this out. I'm like, hey, hear ye. Right now, I need to tell you the Earth is flat. And some people laugh. Some people will take pictures and go back to their friend. Other people are saying, I'm going to look that up. I've had people actually come up to the van and say, hey, I've watched a few of your videos. They'll come back and want to talk to me about it. One guy actually left a note on my video. The fan, he'd like to sit down and talk sometime. I'm like, that's cool. So, things are happening, and I'm pumped.
I mean, this is way smaller than the reality of your exposure, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still really cool that you're getting literally people coming up and putting notes on your van saying, I'd like to talk to you about flat Earth. But you're getting proper.
Yeah.
I've seen you in the paper, here in Britain.
Really? I was in a newspaper. I thought it was just like online.
Yeah, the Sun. Well, I say
on TV.
The Sun online. Yeah, I mean the Sun is the newspaper. I say in the paper. That's probably just these days, but you know what I mean.
Right. And I understand that's like a tabloid out here. So I don't know. It's a lot of hit pieces. And that's fine. They're still it's still raising awareness. There are still people checks out. Oh, why exactly didn't the bubble move?
Oh, we missed some of that. I'm gonna do it. Can you lower your bandwidth one more? We might lose your camera.
Ah, shoot. I'm just gonna turn the camera off if that'll help.
Should do. We're left with my.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. What about now? Are you better now? Just a little.
That's good. So, can you tell us? I know it's a debunking, but to me, there's no such thing as bad publicity as far as I'm concerned. So the fact that you were in the Sun, holding your spirit level with the words "flat" and "Earth" next to each other was just fantastic. But can you tell us about first and foremost the experiment that you did that they covered?
Well, the spirit level experience, it kind of came from an idea that I had while I was talking to some guys that I work with. And the what I was saying to them, and I saw a picture on Facebook, I believe, and there were four pictures of things on a globe. There was, I believe, there was a sundial, a periscope, a spirit level, and gyroscope. Being that I could actually go get a spirit level, I went and grabbed one of those, and came to hey Omar, this thing doesn't work on a globe, because if it's flat, if it's level here, 100 miles away or 2 hours away to Portland, and it's still level, that means pretty much it's flat. But I didn't know how I would go about with it on that drive. But I remembered that I had a flight coming up, so I decided to take that spirit level onto a plane from North Carolina to Seattle, and recorded 203 miles of flight, and the bubble stayed centered the whole. It off is just something I wanted to do to show to a few people on Facebook, and I big a deal that might be, to be honest. But turned out that the plane should have had miles of curve, because according to spherical trigonometry, flight speed, or the cruising speed of an eighth plus 115 miles per hour over the course of 23 minutes and 45 seconds, which is what I recorded, the plane 103 miles. According to spherical trigonometry, that should have meant compensation for over 5 miles of curvature, but that wasn't registered through the spirit level. So pretty much showed that the plane takes off and flies over a flat surface, and as valid. Other people will just scream gravity, but it's all good.
Well, it's one of those. It's a simple experiment that shows what you experience in reality, and that's, to me, very eloquent to actually demonstrate that as you travel, the bubble doesn't move. That's just a fact. And the theory that we are presented with lots of maths that undoes the actual observation is just that. It's just theory. It's just maths. The actual observation showed you there is no curve, as you experience every time you fly. But it's just nice to see something actually measured. I mean, subsequently, there's people that have done it with apps on phones where it takes out the gravitational factor that people object to, and you can place it on a surface, do exactly the same thing as the spirit level essentially does, but there's the objection is that the bubble is constantly pulled to the center of this spherical earth that we have in theory, but in reality that's just math, that's just theory. What we experience and what you experienced on that flight was level the entire way. I mean, you broke up a little bit when you said, did you say it's 5 miles of curvature that you should have experienced over the 230-mile trip? Is that right?
Yes, it definitely should have been about 5 miles of curvature. That didn't happen. To be somewhere around 5.26 miles, something like that.
Right. But yeah, you did get flack for it. It's one of those, I think. Well, maybe I'll phrase it as a question. Why do you think you get hit pieces as opposed to amazement from the tabloid press? What do you think the reason is behind that?
Well, the idea, I believe, would be, give people, it's to control the narrative, in my opinion, because society has been programmed to do. Whenever anyone uses the words flat earth, the initial response from most people is to laugh, ridicule, mock, call you retarded, call you stupid, and say that you have no you need to go back and please don't reproduce, and I mean all these other beautiful responses that people give to us. But that the reason those articles were essentially hit pieces was to perpetuate that mentality. And nothing more, or mainstream manipulation, if I understand correctly. And it's not just in America. Apparently, these things happen in Australia and the UK. Or there was one written up in Israel that turned out. I actually translated that translation, and it came out pretty neutral. But for the most part, the hit pieces are just to control the narrative of the mass population.
Right. We, I, you, me, and every other person that's putting out this information needs to be kept in check. And so long as the masses hear that we are, quote, ridiculous, then that's going to be the perception, because it is an amazing revelation, which is why I ask all of the guests, how did you find out? Because for many, they won't find out even when they're told. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's difficult to actually get a cogent piece of information across to somebody without getting it ridiculed. How much success have you had in that regard?
Yes, absolutely. And this is why I try to common sense approach when explaining flat Earth. I always, I'll go back to no spin. I mean, the ways that explain the flat Earth, and the curvature aspect, just as it's written on the side. I just use water, because water is, that's what's used to determine when something is level. Obviously, they're inside a level, but that's, I mean, it's just common sense. If you can use, figure out, it's flat in a glass, in a bowl, in the sink. If you run water, you're about to do your dishes, you just let it.
Oh, keep losing you. I'm really sorry. You're breaking up again. Typically, when it's the most important bit with the detailed bit about your proofs for why it's flat, that's when we're losing your signal. Typically.
Who's freaking NASA's hacking us, man? This is craziness.
We'll battle our way through. Don't worry. But if you could just
go to spot number 4.
If you could just repeat what you said about the spin and water, just to not lead you too much.
Yes. All right. So the term Earth is basically because, I mean, there's no spin, there's no curve. Any experiment that proves that the Earth is spinning. When we go outside, we look up at clouds. We see, the clouds, they look like they're sitting in the same place, but they're moving very slowly. But they tell us that we're moving miles at the equator, and around the longitude where I am, or a latitude where I am. Here's around 8 per hour that we're supposed to be spinning, and yet I can sit outside on a calm day and just motion. There's no movement, and this is very common sense, because if you're standing on top of a car that's move go around that spins about 7 or 8 miles per hour, you're going to feel it, either way. So, I mean, if the Earth were 850 or 1,000 plus miles per hour anywhere, the damage that would take, I mean, we wouldn't be able to live our lives here if the Earth was spinning that fast. And then as far as your aspect, I'll just go back to water. It's all about, water is used to determine whether or not a surface is level. And have a pretty level surface wherever you look. And it goes the same from a glass of water to a lake, and oceans play by the same rules as those smaller bodies. But people have a hard time wrapping their minds around how, and one ocean happens to be a body of water that's connected to all other bodies of water. So the oceans are actually just one body of water. curves. But people have a hard time wrapping their minds around that one. You see?
Uh, it's the physics of water that is subject to a lot of
Exactly.
wordplay, because you can make water, you can make it turn into a sphere. You can drop it and it will become spherical. You can, as Orphan Red pointed out today, you can put a magnetic field around flowing water and it will bend to avoid the magnetic field. In other words, you can get water to do all sorts of crazy things in motion. However, at rest, it's flat. But when you come to the oceans, they're not at rest. It's not like a lake. So it's difficult to get people to understand that, yes, you do have movement across the entire body, but ultimately it's a massive body of contained water. And then you get into the semantics of, well, it's not at rest. But, you know, like you say,
Right.
how do you convince somebody that something that is moving but massive isn't curving, which blatantly it isn't, just by observation?
Exactly. And that's a major thing with me. From time to time that water has to be at rest. I'll just say bodies of water,
Oh,
currents of water as.
oh dear.
Yep, you're right. I know this is terrible. I'm good. Jeez, this is all messed up. Um, do we
We're
have any
we will ask the chat. Is should we?
music?
Well, that's the chat. Should we continue? What should we do, chat? Should we? I don't know, because presumably you can't relocate again, can you?
I surely could.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're one of the few guests that you can say find a better internet connection.
Right. Like my connection sucks. I gotta go somewhere else, man. Dang it.
Okay.
All right.
I will fit.
Let me see now. Where to now? Where to now? All right. This one might take a little longer.
All good. I will chat to the
More
chat.
reliable.
Cool. Hopefully we'll see you in a few minutes.
Jeez. All right. I'll be right back again.
Okay, see you shortly. Yeah, for those watching, I think it's worth it. You know, as I just said to D Marble, we are in a position where we can literally find a better connection. And I don't know, it's frustrating for me as a host. I want to hear every word that he's got to say, and I'm sure you do in the chat. And for a few minutes of whistling the girl from Ipanema, we can have a proper conversation. Hopefully, when he returns, hopefully with camera, that would be fantastic. I'm sure the women will be very pleased if they get to see D Marble's pretty face throughout the interview. So hopefully, we'll resolve those technical issues when he does return. In the meantime, I'm going to go back to the chat and have a bit of a hello to you. This is the first time I think we've done this on the actual live Google Plus feed, so I might go across to there first and say hello to you, good folks. Chat feed, let's have a look. All right, we've got in here. Austin7, good to see you. Andres, good to have you here. Who are the names that were in the other chat room? Hi, Fruity You, good to have you here. Skyfly Bry says, hello, Nathan Oakley. Do you still love me? Of course. Of course. I love each and every one of my viewers. Martin Liedke, good to have you here. The chat, which was definitely a bit more busy. As I said before, if you are tired of anybody in the one chat, they won't be getting banned. You can just go to the other chat room. Validation Boy, hello, good to have you here. Am I going to read that? Tender nipple, WWE, hugging, touch butt, martial arts, shout me out. I just did. I'm not even going to attempt to repeat it. Angel Raven 444. That mushroom. Looks like it. Hello, Ace. Ace McLeod. Ginger Sugarbush 905. Hello. Flat Earth Court. Good to see you. Stephen Watson. Saying hello to Skyfly Bry. Very chatty, tender nipple. And Ugdina, the first to moan about the trolls, says, VB, kiss my red ass. The trolls are rubbing off on you, Ugdina. Has to be said. See what we've got. Any useful opinions in here? The Validation Boy says, Maggie, because they are fame hounds, because they from expletive cliques, and because they support openly Satan worshipping scam artists who get channels like mine shut down because they are jealous. I don't know. Who's the Satan worshipper? I don't think we have any actual Satan worshippers in Flat Earth that I'm aware of. Free Truth, Paula, good to see you. Earth again, not actually getting censored. Reasonable conversation. Was says this is all wrong. That's great. Fart Talk 45, P Mars, good to have you here. All the free people. Says bye, Carlos. Everybody's been greeted. Good to have you here. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share this video far and wide on Facebook and YouTube and G+, Twitter, all those good things. Hope you all agree I made the right decision to literally suggest that my guest goes somewhere else. I hope it didn't come across as terribly rude. Yeah, I'd rather have a proper conversation than not. Joshua, good to have you here, my friend. Are you back on the globe? What's your state of play at the minute, Joshua? Last time I checked, you were renouncing Flat Earth because of the South Celestial Pole Star. Is that still the case? Love to know. Beth says, Validation Boy, how much more bullshit can you spew in this chat before even Nathan gets fed up? Validation Boy is very welcome here. You are all welcome. Thank you very much for viewing. Much obliged. If you don't like this chat room, just go to the other one. Although, now reading some of his messages, yeah, calm down, Validation Boy. No need, no need. Yes, Validation Boy. IPS has openly declared his worship of Satan countless times in irony. You know, I've done it too. Occasionally I'll go into a chat room for the sake of irony and say, Hail Satan. It doesn't mean I actually worship Satan. It's being said in irony. It's like, yeah, if people call you a Satanist, you just say, yeah, I am a Satanist. It's like back in school when people would call you gay. You go, yeah, okay, I'm gay. Whatever. That's the same equivalent. Doesn't actually make you gay. Doesn't actually make IPS a Satan worshipper. It's just a way of conceding to your detractors to shut them up. Same with the thumbs down. Thumbs down's a much better example, actually. So what IPS does is he sets his thumbs up, thumbs down massively in favor of thumbs down, because then people who do thumbs down, they have no power. Hooray! We're back with D-Marble. Woohoo!
Okay.
I reckon third time's a charm. You sound pretty clear to me.
All right, take 3.
Take 3. And we've got your pretty face as well. Excellent. The women will be very pleased. Do you get lots of female flat earth attention? I suppose you should phrase it as a question rather than an assumption.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Lies. Total lies. Even I have commented in some of the chats, but yeah, I've seen the women swooning around you. I'm actually extremely jealous. if I wasn't a married man.
No idea what you mean, man. I'm I'm totally just not a whole lot going on. I appreciate it. And yeah, you have made some comments. I'm like, Oakley, come on. All good.
Yeah, I just do it for the shock value.
It's pretty funny.
So tell us about the conference. Robbie Davidson got in touch with me and explained that you're going to be doing the Q&A. How did that come about?
Yeah, I'm man, I was kind of freaking out last night. Got a call from him just last night. No, yeah, he, actually we talked maybe a couple months ago, and I just totally forgot about it. I was talked to him last night. And he's like, we'd like to add you on a spot for the guest panel towards the end for a Q&A session. About. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I kind of had an out of body experience. Kind of was looking at myself. Yeah, I'm gonna be on the panel at the first Flat Earth International Conference. It's one of those things where you're like, what's going on right now? I'm totally excited about it. Really just yeah, I'm honored that I'd even be asked to, you know, I don't know, man. I'm just excited.
Yeah, you get to mingle with fellow flat earthers and get quizzed by the great unwashed. The general public will be there. Presumably not giving you a hard time, though.
Oh no. What?
Oh, have we lost you again? Hello.
Why, man? Here we go.
All right, it's all right. Just try that trick again. Just lower the bandwidth down.
All right. Bandwidth, and I'll bring that. You know what? Yeah, audio only. That's it. How are we?
Audio only is fine. We've got your face for a few minutes. Good enough teaser for people watching. People know who you are. They know what you look like. It's all good.
Right.
You're excited for the conference.
I am. I'm very excited. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, man, I won't make it in time to take pictures with everyone at the billboard and all. I don't get in on the 8th, and everyone's going to be meeting up on the afternoon of the 8th to go to the billboard that Dave Weiss is putting together. Kind of sucks. I'm going to miss that part because I was looking forward to that part, but oh well, it's all good. It's all good.
I think I caught most of that. Did you say that you're not going to be able to go to have a photo up at the billboard?
No, I won't be able to make it for that. I had bought my plane ticket, the security code for my debit card on the plane ticket to, complete the purchase. 2 minutes later, I get another message from Robbie Davidson saying, "Hey, make sure you get in early on the 8th." I just bought the tickets. Just bought the tickets right before.
So I think what I might do is get in a couple more questions just because we can hear you, but it's a little bit. So we've got a good average to get definitely one key point that I want to ask you about, which is because it's, well, you probably already know what I'm going to talk about, which is about BOB and how you've came to interact with him, what your interactions have been, and your general opinions about what he's doing.
It's my feeling that he's pretty sincere in what he's doing. I don't know, just kind of pulling everybody's chain because I've listened to a lot of his music and he gets conspiracies. He talks about a lot of different issues. He gets into chemtrails, further manipulation, vaccines, Bilderberg. He goes all over the place as far as the conspiracies, and he talks a lot about flat Earth also. And my feeling is that he good for flat Earth than negative at this point, because I've had so many people come back to me and say, I if it weren't for Bob, people are telling me that, and that makes sense. And if we're just spread awareness of flat Earth, then I'd look at what he's attempting to do as positive. And the way that I gauge that is because I'm not too worried about it. As flat earthers, our community only grows. There aren't many people who come back and say, I'm no longer I was a flat earther and now I'm gone back to believing we're on a globe. It's definitely spinning, it's definitely curved. We're not on a flat earth. I don't. So this whole situation with Bob, it raises more awareness because he has quite the following. And on Instagram and Facebook, there are a lot of people who pay attention to what he has to say, mostly in his raps. Somewhere around 867, something like that, probably more. But that's more than any YouTuber slash flat. That might be more than all of us combined. So I'd say his speaking out about flat Earth is a positive. As far as the GoFundMe, I believe that may very well be some sort of kind of playing devil's advocate, saying, okay, well, if we live on a globe and if you all have the capability to send my own satellite into space, and I'm looking to collect money to do so, and if he gets to a point to where he money to send to put together a satellite and then have it sent out to space, quote, then he's met with these barricades. They set up these barriers saying, okay, well, this went wrong. You have to do this. You have to do that. This isn't going to work. Opposition to a point to where it seems really difficult to get the satellite that he put together out. Then it's just going to be a red flag to anyone who's paying attention to that aspect. So it could be a positive, but my thing at this point, and what I said in another video, was let's just situation. And if you believe that he's a scam artist and that he's trying to take your money, well, how about don't hand him any of your money. That's our two options. Either you can put in or not. So no need to con artist. Well, what he's going to do, and I'm not saying just be naive to the situation, but just keep an eye on where I'm at. It really doesn't, it's not a huge deal to me as far as what he does with this, because like I said, increasing at this point.
But you have been in contact with him, though. I think you said it was via Instagram. Is that right?
Yes, we did have a couple of exchanges on Instagram, and let me pull that up real quick just to see what we were discussing. I'd look at lads who've given him a hard time about his GoFundMe, and I kind of reached out to him saying that the same articles that are giving him a hard time and are looking to do, they're the same ones that were writing the hit pieces and calling me and so it's Unilad, Metro, COUK, Daily Mail. These are the same places that on the spirit level experiment. These are the same ones that are kind of saying, oh look, BOB came out and did this, so we got some have something different to say. But I asked him what the plan was for the GoFundMe, and it's was just that there isn't a definitive plan right now, is what he told me, and that we just need to let labels and battles consume our creative process. And he also went on to say that their world is lure us into it, their crumbling society, and that made sense to me. But the of him being uh, able to network with so many people is a positive.
Right, it is
To individually do
exposure.
right, and my question, well, my thing, ability to actually get involved with these things. I'm kind of at a point to where I can understand if it's ducks in a row, so to speak, because he's he's busy. He's got concerts multiple times cities. I mean, he was just in San Diego yesterday. He was in another place, earlier this week. So these things happen. He'll do his quick live streams and all that on Instagram, and he's usually driving somewhere or being driven somewhere. His phone probably always in the lab, or writing down new information or stuff. I've been busy to a point, and I have a different situation. I have a full-time job. I have personal relationships to deal with, my YouTube stuff, and then there's always somebody asking questions on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or some comments to respond, because I'll try to put up a couple new videos each week, and I'll respond to comments as much as I can. Pretty much the same thing. I sympathize with the guy because I've been busy, but I'm thinking, as far as the details of what he wants to do with the experiments, I believe he might not have time to hammer out all the details himself, but he work with people who do have expertise in certain areas, and that's what I'd encourage him to do. I could talk to him directly, and I mean, I gave him another idea. If you'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, for sure. You go ahead.
Well, I talked to him an expedition to Antarctica, and personally, I don't want to go. I don't want to go to Antarctica. I went on to tell him, I know they're scared of everyone figuring this out, but as far as the experiments go, people are concerned about these details as far as your plan before they fully trust you. Is what I was telling him. And I said, I know you're busy, but it will be huge if we can get you on a path forward, because he could be like, not so much our poster boy or anything like that, but he's a lot of influence. He has a lot of different people with eyes on him as far as this whole situation. I don't even know how much money the GoFundMe has. I suggested to him that no one has circumnavigated the earth from north to south, and I'm getting a lot of people wanting me to propose to you. And I said, we, or a team of volunteers, in parentheses, head south and just keep going while documenting the whole thing. He's like, have you done research on Antarctica and what's out there? uh, yeah, I've looked into it vaguely, but this is where the networking comes in, because there's a lot of flat earthers who have more insight and can provide the info that we need, licensing, etc. And I talked to him about arranging a series of live panels to discuss the details. he said, "Well, the things I've heard about Antarctica make me not want to go visit there." I'm like, "Yeah, me too."
Yeah, it's cold.
I had
I totally agree.
yeah,
I said a similar thing years ago. I think I phrased it something like, "I value my fingers too much," and I got a load of stick about it because I think at the time Math Powerland was putting across exactly that idea, to do circumnavigation from north to south because it's not been done. So that would be an easy and concise way of proving one way or the other. And everybody who thinks it's a globe, you think would be all for it. Yes, let's do it. It shouldn't, in my view, it should be something that's commonplace as opposed to down to, even if it was £1 million that BOB raises, it's pittance. It's nothing. In the big scheme of things, it's nothing when you're talking about things like expeditions and sending up satellites. That was the last thing I was going to sort of maybe mention. I'll try and tie this together. You've got this idea of people who are in the mainstream eye, like BOB, as being controlled or having controllers, when in reality these are just regular Joe normal. So when you've got, it's almost nice to hear you say that he said, "Oh, I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. We haven't got a firm plan yet. I've just done a GoFundMe, because I want to do something." And that to me sounds very like any normal guy would be. Do you know what I mean? In other words, it's not controlled opposition. He's not,
dude, that's
to scam people. It's just a guy who's had an idea and just done it. Why not?
yeah, yeah. I was kind of like, guys, he seems like a normal guy. He might just be excited about, flat Earth all of a sudden. What I want to do, I'm putting together a GoFundMe. I want to find the curvature, and I mean, I'm like, he sounds like a normal guy. Off to me, but a lot of people are like, he's trying to take everybody's money. I'm like, he's not taking everybody's money. Actually, NASA, and giving us CGI. Bob, however, is asking for donations, and if you want to donate, you can. And but yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying, Nathan. He sounds like a normal guy, just trying to make something happen. I mean, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, and this is true for absolutely every single one of us. Of all, I mean, I don't know how many people I've interviewed, probably 50 plus people, and they're all exactly the same. They're all just regular people, and Math included, Math Powerland, who gets pegged as being a bit crazy with his notions of wanting to cross Antarctica. This is 2 years ago, but now we've got people that like BOB who are in the mainstream eye that have got, you've literally got his ear, and he's having these suggestions put to him because they are being discussed in flat Earth in general. We are all discussing these concepts about circumnavigating the non-existent globe and water at rest being level, all of these concepts. And he's putting this stuff across in his music. It's to a certain extent subliminally programming people. If it gets radio airplay, people hear Flatline or something, they don't necessarily know what they're listening to. Like, you don't know that you're being programmed into having abusive relationships with a lot of modern pop music. They do the same tricks on us to program us in their nefarious ways, but BOB's doing the total opposite. He's trying to program people with truth subliminally through music, which I just think is genius. It achieves our ends. We want people to know about this. That's the bottom line, and that's what he's doing. So I've got nothing but praise for people like BOB. And maybe this will be the last subject before we round things out. There is the thing that I picked up on yesterday when we chatted, albeit very briefly, was that you're not at all in favour of the drama. You're not at all in favour of the infighting. You just don't like it. And BOB's catching exactly that. Flat earthers criticising him. So maybe you can let us know what you think and feel about general flat earth infighting, and maybe pull that back to how BOB will possibly be getting exactly the same thing from flat earthers.
Well, I'm. What? Just a second. I just switched over to my phone. I'm going to mute the microphone on this one, hang up the call on my laptop, and now I'm on my phone. Okay. Cool. So how are we now, Nathan? Is my audio a little better?
Yeah, definitely. Much better, in fact.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm not sure why I didn't think of that earlier, but okay. Um, moving along. Yeah, I'm hoping that um, all this kind of evens itself out as far as the Bob situation. I think he's just a normal guy like any of us, and being in contact with him, I'm willing to go back with ideas and try to facilitate some sort of try to be a bridge between him and the community. And some people are like, well, I didn't ask you to be a bridge. I'm like, well, I didn't ask you to ask me. So, you know, that's kind of my thing. I just like for us to all figure this out and work together as best we can. But the infighting, oh man, I am totally not a fan of that. Totally just, not. I don't want to get involved with it. I see no point in it for the most part, and I'm under the impression that we're all on the same page. We're all on the same team. We all just want truth, and we want to spread this as best we can. So the ideas of this person calling that person a shill or a agent or whatever without sufficient evidence that this is true, it's not really making a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm just not going to get involved as far as all that goes.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. It's all nonsense when we have. I mean, I tried to bomb this yesterday. Well, I can't remember what conversation I was having with who, but I was getting very angry because I think it was flat out elected. I'm sorry, you're in the chat, but you were talking. They were talking about Mandela on Patricia's show last night, and it's something I have a real bee in my bonnet over because I just think it's so much less important whether or not the rings around your eye or the Berenstain Bears. You just think the Earth is flat. That's amazing. For the vast majority of my life, the living on a spinning ball thing, the people standing antipode to me thing, the curved water thing, the infinite space thing, they were all real. Now they're not. That's huge. So to talk about whether or not Sex in the City was Sex and the City, or you just think, why? It's just unimportant. And the infighting is even lower on the rung. It's so base. It's so unimportant when we have this sort of massive, literally life-changing revelation that the Earth is flat. Jeez. Anyway, yeah, I agree.
Like people, we've been lied to for all of our lives since we were babies. They walk us into a classroom, they have us put our little fingers on this globe and give us these ideas about where we can go travel and where we like to live. And I mean, they just make it sound awesome. They they just indoctrinate us from before we can think for ourselves. And that bugs me. That bugs me, like, and that's why I'm so vocal about this whole flat earth thing, because this is the basis of our whole reality, and we've been misled about that. We have to exist here for all of our lives and know where we are, if you think about it. This is a huge deal. This is a huge deal.
I really like the intro to your videos because of late you've been starting off your videos by saying pretty much the conversation we've just had. The Earth is flat. Water at rest is always level. There is no curvature. Gravity is a load of nonsense. You kind of have these sort of bullet points, but you sort of start it off by saying, just to let you know, before we go any further, Earth is flat. And then, let's not have any messing around. Let's just get that out of the way straight away. That's ace.
Yeah. I love it, and that's what's necessary these days, because I get people who want to argue that point or argue certain points. If I'm about to make a video about the moon or about the sun or anything else, it's like they'll say, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Before we get started there, Sparky, I need you to acknowledge the fact that bodies of water at rest do not curve into a sphere. So go ahead and handle that one, and then we'll move on. Yeah, that's just kind of I'm trying to start the videos with the assumption that it's flat, but right. So here's more evidence to pile on to the whole fact that water doesn't bend like that. So, I'm just felt like doing that for that video. Other videos, I used to do that all the time. I would start out, next to a body of water. I would zoom in across a lake or something, and then I'd zoom way back out like 2.5 miles, and just say, "Ta-da! It's flat all the way across." Kind of, got back to that, or I'm trying to get back to that. I think I left that part out of this next video, but next video is going to be fun. It'll be lots of fun. I'll get that one up in the next few hours.
We talked a little bit earlier with a bit of a broken connection about NASA, and when it comes to water, NASA have essentially figured out how to fake us, and they've used zero-G planes in order to do this. They've developed their CGI technology by dropping through the air, and in that particular motion, you can have water with a curve. You can have droplets of water because they're in essence falling. Now, they don't look like they're falling because every reference point around the camera is fixed. So therefore, what you see is a piece of spherical liquid that appears to be floating in zero G. But all this is bullshit. We've been completely frauded. Well, for me, my entire life, I've been frauded by these people who are taking, what is it now, 52 million a day? What's your general? I don't know. You don't do huge amounts of sort of NASA picking apart and that. What are your general thoughts on NASA?
It's coming. It's coming. I like to I kind of bash NASA on my Twitter more than anything. Just yesterday I posted a tweet. It was at NASA equals not a space agency. Straight answer, and then another acronym for him was like Nazi affiliated scam artists, something like that. And then I typed in all caps, "We know who you are," FE offensive. So I usually go in on Twitter, but yeah, I got something coming up that I need to start working on as far as NASA, and that's all good.
I love it. When I remember 18 months ago when I was well into getting into the Twitter and the Facebook feeds, NASA almost had it covered. In other words, they had enough, I don't know, anti-trolls, whatever you want to call them, to keep the people like us suppressed. Whereas from what I'm gathering from what you're saying now, they haven't got it covered anymore. This stuff's leaking through. Is that correct? Are there lots of people giving NASA a hard time on their Twitter and Facebook? Are you alone?
Oh no. Well, here. Gosh. Well, okay, wait, hold on. You want to see some people staring? Wait, watch this. She's taking a picture. You see that? Okay. This happens all the time. I'm back in the parking lot of Lowe's, just kind of messing around. So, never a satellite allowed. Here, I turn on my laptop now. I can look in the chat. So, a little distracted. I need to put something up to cover that now. But as far as the trolls go, I kind of don't engage with the trolls and all that much anymore because the way I see NASA. Well, NASA they kind of owe us an explanation as far as their technology and lack of technology. I mean, you sat here and you told us that you went to the moon 9, but you don't have the capability to get beyond low Earth orbit here, and so something doesn't add up. Just the numbers there, because low Earth orbit is 90 miles away, and let me see, it's from 90 miles to 1,200 miles or so. That's low Earth orbit. Okay, that's fine. But I'd like to know who exactly, pulled out the measuring stick. Who performed the experiment that says, okay, what we have here is from the Earth's surface. And now that we're past 89 miles away from the Earth's surface, suddenly, bam, gravity just shuts off. And now you're in zero gravity. You pass through the barrier at exactly 90 miles away. Sit down and think about just a small aspects of these things, you're like, well, how did they figure that out? I mean, seriously. So that's the whole low Earth orbit, going from gravity here on Earth pulling everything down, and suddenly 90 miles away, you suddenly escape gravity's pull towards the Earth. But yet the moon is 238,000 miles away, and that's still being pulled towards Earth, apparently, in this orbit. Like, the numbers don't make any sense if you sit down and just. But they're saying that they made it to the moon back in '69. Moon's 238,000 miles away, 239 or so. And then they say we can't get beyond low Earth orbit. I'm like, well, wait a minute, which one is it? So it's like basically NASA, kind of hung themselves out to dry with their multiple statements. But it's all good. It's all good. NASA's a joke. I got a plan to kind of pick them apart as far as there not being any real pictures of Earth from space. But just put out a video about that. I'm like, dang it, man. So I'm gonna have to basically take his video, pick it apart, and redo it myself. Just kidding.
What do you mean? What do you mean there aren't any pictures of Earth from space? This is news. What do you mean?
What? You didn't know? No, man. Look, all those pictures. That's CGI. Those are CGI composites. There's a little excerpt from this. This nice little video about 47 minutes long. It's called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon," and it actually showed the NASA astronauts in the cabin. They kind of had the cabin blacked out, and there was this circular window. And what they were doing, they had the circular window way out here, but they had a camera pulled away in the back of the cabin. The whole cab was, it was just blacked out, and they put a piece of cardboard in there to simulate the Terminator line. Yeah, they faked the whole thing, and they're sitting here saying, "Yeah, we've just we're about halfway to the moon." When in actuality they were just at about Earth orbit. It's in that film. And I plan on using a little piece of that film in that video just to kind of drive the point home. And there's that guy, Rob Simmons, Mr. Blue Marble. He was the one that was famous for saying, well, it is Photoshop, but it has to be. So he said that, but there was another part of that interview that nobody really points out. And there was he was saying how they have to take the composite shots and stitch them together. And one of the things that he said, well, we can't keep them all, this way or that way because it comes out this way and it's kind of flat. He literally said it looks kind of flat. Takes that part of the audio out of there and actually accentuates that. But there was a point where he said they have to kind of wrap it around a globe because it looks flat. So I'm going to bring that up too in that video when I get around to it. But working on a couple different projects, man.
Was excellent because it shows multiple different things. So you see cognitive dissonance working before your very eyes, because there's no way he's in any way, he's not intentionally trying to deceive his audience. That's just how he sees things. NASA's so compartmentalized that he is in a position where he actually believes that. It's because that is how it is. He's just saying it matter of fact. Well, yeah, it looks kind of flat, so we have to kind of wrap it around this ball. And once we end up with this squashed donut thing, we have to run it through rendering, and then it ends up perfectly spherical. We work it all out so it looks okay. And then there you go. We do some color correction, and it's Photoshop, but it has to be Photoshop because that's how we're making it, obviously. But to him, he doesn't see there's a disconnect, between his actual reality and what he's doing. But I would assume that the NASA Human Resources Department are very good at picking out people who will sit in that little niche of not actually realizing what they're doing. I remember Matt Powerland having this conversation with me, and he's saying that the guy in rendering is going to have a conversation with the guy who's actually doing the artwork, and the guy from rendering goes, well, it's kind of looking like it's all flat. And eventually they just tap him on the shoulder and he gets moved department and somebody else fills his position. just make sure you don't, just do what we tell you. How we trained you how to do it is what you need to do. Just do that. Don't ask any questions. Get on with it. Simple.
Right. Okay, just a second. Gosh. All right. Well, let
Sorry,
me see.
people taking photographs still.
Yeah, pretty much. Gotta switch to let me see, lower power mode. Good Lord. Come on, deal again. Right, give me a sec. More issues, more issues.
You're actually lowering your own power mode, and you're like robot marbles
All right.
circuitry.
Da, 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 da. I think I hear someone laughing out loud outside the van at what they see on the side of this thing. Hilarious. All right. Let's see now.
How's that? All good?
Okay. Better stop. All right. I'll check again in a minute or two. See where we're at.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. We might actually round out the main part of the show here, and hopefully you'll give us a plug to your YouTube channel and anything else you want to plug before we round out that bit. Bear in mind we will still be broadcasting on OBS when we end, but is there anything you want to plug for the Google Plus audience?
I'm not really all that great at whole self promotion thing, but I don't know. I just say that continue to find ways to talk these things out. Peacefully if we can, but we can all work together if we try. If we can, be adults and just have a rational conversation. We're not always going to see things eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we're all being misled by the same group of people. So we're all the same team by default if we're on the side of truth. So it's you know it this whole thing just makes sense to me, and it makes sense to a lot of other people. And I'm just glad to be part of the community. But let's stay hopeful and keep a watchful eye on things that we don't really good idea on. Kind of generally speaking on this BOB thing. I'm just like looking for let's keep an eye on it. That's all I'm saying. It's exposure is exposure at this point, and exposure with him talking about flat Earth at this point, and out in the open. But we'll see what happens as far as the situation goes.
Speaking of being accessible to the community, is there short of putting a note under your windscreen wiper, how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, at any of the places, I'm at dmarble1 on Twitter, Daryl.marble on Facebook. Just go, I'm dmarble on here. Just a regular guy. We'll talk about it all the same. I try to get back to people when I can. I always have the time to. So that's what I got.
Cool. Oh, massive thank you to all of you who are watching. Make sure you subscribe to D.Marble YouTube channel. And one last massive thank you, D Marble, for being on Flat Earth United. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right, thank you, Nathan. I'll make sure I go straight to the phone when we do this next time. I kind of owe you another interview because this one was just all kinds of chopped up. So we'll figure it out.
No, I was asking the chat, and they were all saying no, stick with it. So other than Tim Osman, he was the only one that said unlistenable, but he sodded off pretty quick. But, yeah, I will say one last thank you to all of the people who have joined us in the live chat. Thank you very much for being here, and be sure to subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 if you have not done so already. And with that, I will say a massive thank you once again to D Marble and say I've been Nathan Oakley. See you all in the next video.